गुड इव्हनिंग एव्हरीवन. आज आपल्यासोबत इंग्लिशच्या एक्सपर्ट टीचर आहेत, ज्या आपल्याला इंग्लिश बोर्ड एक्झामची जी प्रिपरेशन करायची आहे इंग्लिश ह्या सब्जेक्टची, तर त्यासाठी गायडन्स करणार आहेत. सो वेलकम मॅम. तर आपण डायरेक्ट सुरुवात करूयात. आणि येस, तुम्ही काही तुमचे जे प्रश्न दिलेले होते ते पण आपण घेऊ, आणि मॅम त्यांच्या दृष्टीनं म्हणजे त्यांना जे इम्पॉर्टंट वाटतात तर तेही पॉइंट्स मेन्शन करतील.
Okay, thank you and very good evening to everyone. I hope some of the students have already been giving their prelims and some of the students are still in the queue to be given their prelims, right? So today we are going to take this lecture so that some of the key information we would come to know while writing the papers. I know that the teachers from your school, respected teachers from your respective schools, they must have given you some sort of instructions regarding how to the paper should be written and all these things, right? So yes, regarding that, I'm going to tell you some of the information. So basically, let's first of all start from that. Go through the first whole your syllabus. Now, as we know that in total we have almost 8 poems and 16 lessons, right? The very first key for solving the English paper, that you have to read your textbook as a holy book. Okay, how we are considering holy book, that we are reading each and every part of that book, right? So first of all, before solving the paper, at least your textbook should be read at least 3 times. Now, why I'm emphasizing on reading the textbook? Because while reading the textbook, there are some of the aspects which we can actually inculcate while writing the writing skill part, right? I know that most of the time students have been asking me the question regarding the writing skills, that how it is needed to be improved. But let me tell you, for that actually we have to start doing the practice since our 7th or 8th standard onwards. But let's not get into that. At least as far as the time is concerned, almost 21 only or 20 days we can say actually are remaining for the exam, right? I'm not even talking about the whole month. Almost exact on the 21st exams are going to be started. I'm just only considering those 20 days. Now what can be done in those 20 thoroughly? Got it? Because if you will be reading your textbook, so whichever the scene passages are going to come in your exam, already you will be familiar with those ones. Now, as you know, the students, in those lessons, the stories are there, right? And if suppose we know the stories, the answers can be easily written. Then the vocabulary question, which is being asked in the exam, again, if suppose if you have read the book thoroughly, okay, we can easily identify those words for the synonyms or the antonyms regarding the passage. Sometimes the phrases are also asked, that we have to elaborate the phrase, we have to write the meaning, we have to frame the sentence. So if suppose if we know the context of reference, okay, we can write the answer of those one. And that's why the textbook reading is the must part, first of all. Now, the second thing, usually I'm telling the students that first you should know how the whole paper pattern is. It has been observed that some of the students are not even that much familiar with the paper pattern. Since we know that in the paper pattern, almost 7 questions are there, and which has been divided into A and B section. And again, those A and B sections, again, they are subdivided into sub 5 questions. Okay. So the very first thing that we should know the paper pattern of it, right? If suppose the paper pattern of any of the paper is completely fixed in our mind, so we come to know that in exactly how many minutes I have to cover my paper, right? So let's start with the language study. Now we know that the language study part actually comes for the 10 marks. The very first thing students make the mistakes, that they consider that since it is going to be asked for the 10 marks, so they are trying to leave some of the questions, but don't do that, right? As we know that in the language study section as well, The first question again has been divided into two parts. That is question number 1, A1 and A2. Okay. If we come to know, if we properly know that in A1 and A2, which type of questions will be asked, okay, we can actually properly solve that. The first question is the simple activity question, and which is completely based on your previous knowledge. Now, when I'm saying your previous knowledge, it means that the very basic knowledge, right? The parts of the noun. Actually, you are not going to be asked, or you will not be asked parts of noun, but at least you should know which are the nouns, which are the types of noun, basic information, right? Because where it will be required specifically, if suppose this is the same for students who are from the English medium and the Marathi medium as well, right? The word chain usually they are asking. The word chain they are asking. Sometimes the word chain of a noun, sometimes the word chain of adverb or adjective or the verb. Okay. So at least if suppose if we are familiar with this one, we will able to solve that question thoroughly. So some basic questions like identify this kind of sentences, spot the error, which is completely based on the subject and the verb agreement, right? Then forming the two words from the maximum that one big word will be given to you. Among that, you have to find out the two words. So like this, the simple activity questions will be given to you. Now, A2 question is little bit tougher. Okay. In what sense it is tougher? For that, usually what the kind of questions you will be asked, identify the tense or change the tense from one tense to another.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
काय
Yes.
माईक बंद कर सारिका.
yes, sir.
Huh. So change the tense from one tense to another. Then from direct to indirect speech, narration they are asking. Then they are asking voices, right? Sometimes the homophones or the homographs are also given. Sometimes noun and the verb, right? They are giving us only one word, and from that we have to make the two separate sentences of making noun and verb. So these type of questions usually they are asked. They are asking. Now, what is the key thing for these questions? Let me tell you. If suppose if you will go through the set of rules for the tenses, for your voices, for the narration, basic rules which has been already taught to you, right, in the school. If you'll go through those rules now, it would be easier for you to play with the any sentence. Yes, I use the word play because if suppose the words are thoroughly known, then it is a really a game, small game. You can easily play with the sentences. Got it? And that's why before going for the exam, instead of reading the sentences of narration and the voice and the tenses, go through the rules. It would be easier, right? The next question, that is B, which is a complex activity question. Usually in that question, you will be asked to find out the model auxiliary and the function or the clauses and the analyze the sentences. Sometimes the synthesize is also being asked over there, right? So for these type of questions, again, if suppose if you have thoroughly known that what are the subordinators, what are the coordinators, subordinators in which type of clauses in the adverb, almost there are 9 type of clauses. Okay, so if suppose if we know that whole list properly, it would be again easily we can solve that question, right? So this is the format of our language study. Now, as I said earlier, that the students are thinking that since it is for only 10 marks, so I can easily leave any of that question. But let me tell you, my dear students, the rest of the paper is indirectly based on these grammar topics. So actually, we cannot leave any of the topic among them, right? So try to get 10 out of 10 marks in this question, because if you write the crisp and the correct answers, your marks will not be cut over there, surely. The next question is that is the scene passage, right? As I've already told you that if suppose if you have read the book twice or thrice, then again it is an easier part for you. See, the board setters are giving all the students chance to score the marks everywhere, right? It's not like that only the tough questions can only is given to the students. So again, this scene passage, again, it has been divided into two parts. That is question number 2A and B, right? And again in that, A1, A2, A3, A4, and A5 questions are there. A1 is a simple activity question. Now, the main thing which I want to tell you, that mostly in the simple activity question, what kind of questions are asked? Write the statement whether it is true or false, right? Complete the statement, or right or wrong. Now, the common mistakes which we have seen students are doing, they are writing directly answers. So the very key point is, whatever the sentence has been given to you for true or false, students, you will have to write that sentence, put a dash in front of that, and then write true or false, yes or no, in whichever the manner question is asked. Like that way only we have to write. If suppose students will not write that sentence, though all the answers are correct, but still their marks can get deducted. Is that clear? So students will have to remember this, that they will have to write the sentences, and then by putting the dash they will have to write the answer of that particular question. Got it? If suppose in the question wave diagram is asked as a simple activity, so you will have to draw the wave diagram, okay, with the pen, and inside also you will have to fill up the information. Now while filling up the information, please make sure that whatever you are going to write, please make sure that words are the perfect one or not, because scribbling and erasing and just it really looks very shabby in the paper. Okay, so whatever you have decided what exactly I'm going to write, fix it in the mind and then write it down. Got it? Try to write your paper very neat and cleanly. So this was the simple activity. Now second is the complex activity question. Now complex activity means the question or the set of questions will be asked based on the given paragraph. I would suggest you that whenever we will be writing this type of questions as a complex activity question, always start your answer like this, that so and so question has been taken from so and so lesson. Whatever the moral value has been taught to you from, or whichever the moral you have learned from that lesson, try to write in a 1 or 2 sentences. You get it? After writing in 1 or 2 sentences, then actually write your answer. Got it? So directly don't start writing an answer of the given question. So from which lesson it has been taken, what the moral it is giving to us, what the lesson we are learning from that lesson, we should write that, and afterwards we should write the exact answer. Now, while writing the answer, again, what some students are doing, that they are copying the sentences as it is from the text. We have to avoid this, because you are expected to write that answer using the whole passage. Sometimes answers are not directly given over there, right? So sometimes you have to interpret that answer in your own language and you have to write. But surely answer will be there in the passage itself. Last time someone has asked me that can we answer that question as a personal response? No. Why? Because the personal response question is separately given to you, right? So we are going to write the answer of that particular question in whichever the way, in whichever the tone it is asked to us. I hope it is clear. The third question is a vocabulary based question. As I said, if you will read the book thoroughly, okay, along with the meanings and everything, then this section, this part is again is very easier for you. See, automatically what happens then, whenever we will be dealing with the unseen passage, right? At that time also it may happen that all the words, we really don't know the meanings of all the words. But again, the same technique we have to use, that we have to go through the entire sentence and we have to relate the meaning with that word, right? So this is the one of the key technique. So like this way, you can actually write the answer. Now the fourth question is again grammar. As if suppose if we have already done a lot of practice, this is very easier for us. And the last section is the A5, that is the personal response. Now usually students are thinking that I will not get out in this question. But let me tell you, you can get 2 out of 2 in this question. But how? So again, then we are going to attempt this answer. Okay. Usually, what are we expecting from you? That is suppose any related to that question, if you able to write the reference of someone, right, in that answer, or if suppose some of the examples, or if suppose related the quotations, right? Or proverbs or the slogans related to that question. If suppose something extra you can write, then surely you can get the marks over there. Because obviously related to that particular question, you will be writing an answer. But as I said, that if possible, if you can give the reference of any of the people, the names of the people regarding the question, okay, or if you can give the any examples, then surely you can get 2 out of 2 in the personal response question. And the same thing goes for all the type of personal response questions. I hope you are getting my point. The next section is a poetry section. Now in that again, the 2 types of questions are asked. The first is the comprehension and the second is the appreciation. Now, as I said that we have only 8 poems. If we have memorized, actually students are mugging up. But if you have understood the poem well, while reading the poem only, if you are able to find out the figures of speech, right? If you are able to find out the figures of speech, let me tell you, writing the examples of those figures of speech is also very easier for you. It will be an easy task, and indirectly it is going to help you while writing the answers for the comprehension part as well. In the comprehension also, question number 1 is very simple activity based question. Again, in the same type of question, complete the sentence or true or false or MCQ type of questions are being asked. So in that format, again, you will have to write the full sentence and then you have to write the answer, right? Please don't commit this mistake. Students are usually, if suppose the MCQ type of question, if suppose it is asked, students are directly writing those answers directly in the paper. Let me tell you, we are writing such type of answers in maths paper and science, but not in English. Got it? So you will have to write the sentence and beneath that you have to write an answer. The second question, as I said, again, it is based on the poem itself. So the very thing we have to remember that we cannot use the lines which has been given in that particular verse as it is in the sentence, right? You have to write that answer thoroughly. The third part is a figures of speech or the poetic devices, we can say. So as I said a while ago, if you read thoroughly with the understanding, okay, again, that part is an easier part for us. Okay. The next is that is appreciation of the poem. Now I know that by the time we have already known that what is the format of the appreciation, but you know one thing, what happens, as we have known that how and the way it has been divided, the 5 marks, the half mark for the name and the title and the name of the poet, 1 mark for the rhyme scheme, 1 mark rhyme scheme, and the 1 mark for the 2 marks for the central theme or idea, and 1 mark again for the figures of speech, right? So like this it has been divided. Now usually students are writing the big appreciation over there, but you know what happens, they forget to underline the keywords, the main points in the central theme. See, if you'll underline the title of the poem, the name of the poet, the rhyme scheme, in the central idea, usually students are writing in 6 to 7 lines, okay? But even though from those 6 to 7 lines, if you are able to underline some key lines, what exactly you want to tell, okay? If you would underline it, it would be very easier for the checker to check it. And at the same time, it looks very legible and very nice. So while writing the figures of speech, the names of figures of speech, make sure that you are writing all the correct spellings, specifically the words like the onomatopoeia, right? Antithesis, then oxymoron, and blah blah blah. So make sure that you are going to write the correct spellings of this one. Now, sometimes it has been told in the schools, in some schools, that if you would write only the names of the figures of speech, but usually I'm telling my school students to write the 3 minimum 3 examples of the any figures of speech. Means already the name we are writing over there, But if suppose if you really want to write something like that, something different you want to write, because everybody is going to write in the same way. But along with that, if suppose if you try to give some basic examples of antithesis, say tautology or onomatopoeia or metaphor or simile, something like that, then it would create a little bit different impression than the other papers. Okay, so surely in that case you can get the 5 out of 5 in this particular type of question. Now, next, let's come to the next question. That is question number 4, which is a unseen passage, non-textual based question. I would suggest you that while attempting this particular question, instead of reading the whole passage first, I want you to read, if you read the questions which are asked in that related to that paragraph, okay, if you would go through the questions first, that what type of questions are asked. So while reading the question as well, you get the slightest idea that what is this paragraph is all about. And after going through the questions, if we'll read the paragraph with the understanding, some of the answers of the some of the question, automatically our brain starts searching over there. So our time gets lessened over there. We can actually spare our time. As you have known that whenever we are solving the English paper, we have to complete this is in a 3 hours, right? So obviously each and every question we are going to solve in a due limit. But previously 3 questions are quietly familiar to us, okay? So in first 3 questions, actually we can save our time. As I said, if you have read it earlier. But now from here, let's say that the whole paper is almost kind of an unseen paper for us, because whatever the topics will be asked over there, they would be familiar, but not exactly the related one. And on that topics, for those topics, we have to think a lot. And just to think, we require a time, and we can actually save our time by solving, by reading the book properly over there, right? So now, as I said that usually I'm telling the students go through the questions first, so that you will get little bit idea that what is the passage is about. And once with the understanding, if you read the passage, automatically you will start getting the answers at least of some questions. So this is the one of the trick for writing the question answers for the unseen passage. Now, as I've already discussed that in this unseen passage as well, A1, A2, A3, A4, and A5, the questions are going to be asked in the same way, right? Specifically for A5, how can you get or how could you get 2 out of 2? That technique I have already told you. The same technique can be applicable for writing the summary writing for personal response as well. Now, the question, one of the students had asked me the question regarding the summary writing. Now, how the summary writing should be written. Now, see, dear students, first of all, the summary means what? Summary means we expected to understand it, and you are expected to write it in a 1/3 format. आपण म्हणूनच त्याला सारांश लेखन म्हणतो, right? That summary, synopsis in English, right? We have to write in a 1/3 paragraph. So first of all, this one idea, make sure that you are going to write whatever the number of lines has been given. Now, when we are telling the students that if suppose this much paragraph has been given to you, right, then this much your summary should be there. So sometimes students are directly counting the number of lines. So please don't do that. While summary writing, the very first key point is read the passage with the understanding, then point out the keywords from the passage, right? In those passages, the keywords will be given to you. The passage वाचताना समजून घ्यायचंय, right? So if you read those keywords, after using the keywords, you can frame the sentences by your own. While putting your ideas, the very next thing, that those ideas should be in a logical order. Okay. Then you are expected not to write the same sentence as it is given in the passage itself. Okay. Sometimes it has been observed that students are copying the same sentences which has been given in the paragraph. Don't do that. You have to compress the paragraph, but while compressing the paragraph, all the keywords, all the main points should be included in the paragraph. And at the same time, it should be a 1/3 of the given paragraph. Now, again, while writing the summary, sometimes in the flow of writing now, students are writing their views also. What do they think about it? कुठेतरी ना अशी एखाद दुसरी लाईन ती येऊन जाते. Don't ever do that. So while writing the summary writing, actually it is a quite easier one. Okay. But students make it difficult for themselves. So if we'll underline the keywords properly over there, by using those keywords, we will have to frame the sentences. Don't repeat the words or the sentences from the passage itself in your passage, right? Then if suppose in the passage kind of the examples has been given, let's say the passage has been given as if of pollution. Okay. So n number of pollution names has been given to you. Don't take those names as it is. Is that clear? The second thing, we can make a use of the clauses here, right? Since we have learned the subordinators, we have learned the coordinators as well. So by using the knowledge of the subordinators and coordinators, or the correlative conjunctions, as I can say, I hope everybody is knowing about all these whatever I'm speaking, right? So they can make the use of that as well. So in short, while checking the paper, we come to know that this student has particularly known all the aspects of actually writing skill. You get my point? So for the summary writing, what the things we have to remember? That is, underline the keywords. Underline. Actually, in the paper, you are not supposed to underline as well. In the question paper, while just reading, just put a small dot beneath that words. Okay, beneath those words. Then try to make the sentences by using those words, so that all the main points should come over there. Then don't write your own opinion. Okay, means though you should be opinionated, but you don't write your opinion over there. Whatever has been given to you, try to follow the same instructions. Don't hamper, don't write the same sentences as it is from the passage. Don't write the same examples. So with the same passage, with the same information, but try to write it in your own way. Okay. Repetition of the words, as I said, harping of the same words again and again. So repetition of the words also should be avoided. Is that clear? So these are the key points while writing the summary writing. And yes, last but not the that the title should be given. Now, whenever we are thinking about the title while reading, while comprehending the passage, okay, sometimes the one name, usually it strikes. If suppose if you read the passage with the understanding now, you will be able to write the title. So always remember from the summary writing, okay, throughout the summary writing, whichever the next writing skills questions will be coming, everywhere, don't forget to write the title. Now the title should not be in a one word, okay, small word. It should be related with the context. Then sometimes the title can be a rhetorical question as well. It can be a simple name as well. Okay. So as per the paragraph, as per the given information, write the title of that particular paragraph for writing the summary, so that surely you will get out of out marks in the summary writing. I hope all these points are clear to you. Now let's move to the next question, that is question number 5. Now, in this question number 5, again, we are given two options. That is formal letter, informal letter. Now, as I said, that from these sections, actually, we have to think over it. What exactly am I going to write over it, right? So, if suppose if you have already pre-decided that I'm going to go for informal later, so after deciding, once we have read the question, if suppose most of the time in the question itself the names are given, student, please make sure that you are using the same names, though you like it or you don't like it. Got it? So you have to use the same names, right? Whatever the address has been given to you, the same address you have to use it. So the format for the later writing, as we have known, if suppose if we are opting for a formal letter, the very first thing, both the formal or the informal letter you are going to opt for, it should be left aligned. Okay, this is the important thing. Please don't forget this. So though you are going to opt for a formal or informal, but it should be left aligned. Left aligned याचा अर्थ की तुमचं सगळं हे properly left margin पासनं आलं पाहिजे. Okay. So if suppose if you are going to write the formal letter, so first the sender's address will come. While writing the sender's address beneath, afterwards we are writing the date, right? Again, we should remember the date should be written in a proper format. For example, today is the 22nd January. So 22nd January, comma, 2023, 2022, whatever the year. Like this only format we want. Okay. If suppose somebody writes 22/01/22 or 23, you will not get the marks. Some marks would be deducted for that. So the first, the sender's address would be there, then the receiver's address. After that, the subject would come. Again, how to write the subject in the question itself, the pre-idea will be given to you. So from that, properly phrase the sentence and write the subject. After that, we are writing the salutation. Again, while writing the salutation, we have to remember not to forget to put the comma, right? Respected sir, oblique madam. Now, after this, in the later writing, you are expected to write at least 3 paragraphs. Yes, 3 paragraphs. Why? Because the first paragraph is the introductory paragraph. You're going to introduce yourself. Who are you? From where you are? Okay. So that basic introduction you are going to give. In the second paragraph, in that main body, whatever the problem or whichever the question is asked to you regarding that, everything you are going to write your thoughts. If suppose if that later is there in which the suggestions are asked, so you can write the suggestions in the format of the questionnaire as well over there. Got it? So that everything will be coming in the second paragraph, and the third paragraph will be your concludatory paragraph, in which you will write the conclusion that what you are expecting from that person. Okay. Please don't use the slang language while writing the later writing. Okay. Usually in the flow of writing, and nowadays Gen Zs are there, though some yes, so they are using that slang language in the while speaking as well, while writing as well, and whenever we are actually texting the message at that time we are using. But let me tell you, this type of slang language is not allowed in the paper. So reply me ASAP, no. Okay. So for that properly, you will have to write. Got it? So this again, simple but very important thing you have to remember, right? Students are writing thanks and they are writing THNX or TNX. Don't do that. Got it? What happens now? You write the whole that question very properly, and somewhere at last you are committing the mistake. So it really gives a very bad impression about that student. So don't do that. After that, we are after writing that conclusion part. We are writing yours faithfully, yours truly. Again, the simple thing. Okay, whenever we are writing these spellings, make sure you are writing it correctly, specifically truly spelling. Okay. See, I know that maybe some students might be thinking the teacher is telling the very small things, but because of these small things only, marks gets deducted. Okay. So please make sure while writing these things. After writing yours faithfully, yours truly, your name, right? Please don't forget to write the same name. Got it? And after that, your email ID. Now again, while writing the email ID, no need to write your own, write any email ID over there. So this is the format of your formal letter. Informal letter, again, as we know that you're going to write again, it should be left aligned, sender's address, no subject, and directly with the salutation, dear or loving, whatever, okay? With that, you are going to start your letter. And again, the same thing is there, that it should be written in a 3 paragraphs. The first one is the introductory paragraph. Now here, the introductory paragraph, in the sense, you will be asking, if suppose if you are writing a letter to uncle or aunt, so you will be asking, how are you, how have you been, okay, and where were you, the basic questions, right? And after that, in the second paragraph, you will explain it. Now, as we have known that the second paragraph, for that almost 2.5 marks are there. Now, students are expecting that in this kind of category of questions, they should get the good marks. Now, see, where actually the examiners or the moderators get impressed by the students. If suppose if you will be writing in a plain English, does that mean that you are not going to get marks? Surely you will get the marks, right? But if suppose if you will try to write it in little bit of artistic way. Now, when I'm saying artistic way, what I really meant to say that try to use the good vocab, try to use the good idioms and the phrases, okay? Now, if suppose someone has already read the book twice or thrice, so n number of phrases are there in our textbook, right? So we can make the good use of phrases while writing. We can add those phrases, of course, related with the contextual reference, right? Different. Maybe sometimes, so sometimes examiner is expecting that the student should write, because see, whenever the complete the sentence kind of question is being asked, right? Almost the whole sentence is already given in the passage itself. So you have to just copy as it is, right? So in somewhere in the middle, if you break the sentence, so sometimes it doesn't give the complete meaning to that given part of the earlier part of the sentence. So I would tell you, preferably, though it is a longer sentence, complete it.
But I once did it, but my marks were deducted for the same because I wrote the entire sentence. She was expecting only the half of it. So how do we understand that what is necessary?
In some of the cases, now, let me tell you, just to baffle the students, okay, as it is, the sentences are also not given. Usually, I'm giving these kind of questions in the exam to my students. Directly, sentences are not there. So they have to interpret the meaning, okay? But then in that case, all the sentences would be like the same one, not only one. Got it? So yes, in some of the sentence, maybe they could expect from you that the core meaning teacher wanted. Core meaning of the sentence and not the entire sentence. But usually, let me tell you, in the boards, right? These type of rarely questions are asked, okay? That you have to interpret the meaning of the sentence. And the second thing, if suppose if you have a doubt about it, okay, in that case, you can write by putting the oblique over there. So we, in this case, we don't give the chance to the exam. We will write both ways. If it was like this question is there, usually it is not there. Directly answers are there in the passage itself, okay? But if suppose like this is there, and if suppose at that moment someone gets confused that should I write the core meaning or should I write the sentence as it is? If possible, write both. So let's not give the chance to the examiner to cut the marks. But as I said earlier, this type of questions usually not asked. Got it?
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Anyone else?
Yes, ma'am.
Welcome.
In our school, it has been told to us that for the personal response, that should be 10 to 12 lines, but as it contains 2 marks, how long it should be?
Shall I tell you one thing? See,
Yes.
this is the each and every this is the each and every person's point of view. But usually, we are not asking to write a 10 to 15 or 12 to 15 lines answer. what I told you, that even though while writing the personal response question as well, we can do the same thing as if we were doing in the complex activity question, right? That so and so question has been asked from so and so lesson, what the moral you have learned from that lesson. And after that, what is important, that related to that question, if suppose, if you can write any of the real example, any real reference of the person. If suppose, let's say, there is a question regarding something hard work in the life, okay? So means what example I told my students in my school, there was a person, I don't remember his name right now, कोणीतरी मंजी म्हणून कोणीतरी होता. He has actually dug the whole mountain because he had suffered through a very big problem, and because of that he lost his one of the family member. So for that matter, he had actually dug the whole mountain. So that was the real name, real example of that person, right? So if we can give the reference, if we can write the quote, if we can write the proverb related to that, now that answer looks more beautiful. So really it is not necessary that how big you are writing, but how properly, precisely, but with the correct and the correct content you are writing, that is very important. कसं आहे ना बाळा, 15 लाईनचं उत्तर लिहिलं म्हणून मला 2 मार्क मिळणार आहेत का? तर नाही. मी त्याच्यात काय लिहिते आहे, मी त्याच्यात रेफरन्स देऊ शकते का? मला माहिती असलेले इंग्लिश मधले प्रोवर्ब्स मी ऍड करू शकते का? मी जो लेसन शिकले त्याच्यातला कुठला मोरल मी त्याच्यात ऍड करू शकते का while answering? Just like that, there is another lesson, luncheon, right? Usually, last time in the exam, I have asked my student one of the question, that if suppose if you are invited like this, what would be your reaction? So very basic key point, that the answer should be given in a positive response, right? So if suppose if you would have been at his place, at the narrator's place, what would you do? You can't say no. Or if suppose if you would have that lady's place, what would you do? So while dealing with these answers, very first things that we have to be very optimistic, okay, very politely we have to give the answers. Got it?
Yes,
Actually
ma'am.
the whole, right? But you are not going to write that sentence in the exam. You have to be polite. So
Yes.
how you interpret the question and how you tackle the question very sportingly, that is seen. तुम्ही 12 की 15 लाईन्स लिहिताय त्याच्यावर मार्क मिळणार नाही. Okay. Some students are actually, it is expected 8 to 10 lines, not more than that, because already paper is very big. And sometimes, you know what happens, if suppose some students are harping on the same thing ना, तेच ते लिहितात, मग ते ना आन्सर रटाळ होतं आपलं, right? So this thing also we have to avoid. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, welcome. Any other question?
Yes, ma'am. In how many paragraphs you should write a poem appreciation?
No, you are not supposed to write in a paragraphs. An appreciation. Appreciation should be written in a complete one paragraph. पहिल्या लाईन पासून चालू केलं तर शेवटच्या लाईन पर्यंत सलग लिहायचंय. Okay, you are not supposed to make the paragraphs.
Ma'am,
Now,
in
as
our
a Sejal, no, if I'm not wrong.
yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. As I've told you, in some of the schools, students are told that you just write only names of the figures of speech and leave the answer. Okay. But if suppose if you want perks, na, extra perks, then you have to toil little bit. So that's why usually I'm telling, see, I'm the teacher in the Konkan division. I'm from the Sindhudurga district. Okay. So I'm telling my student, don't leave the question over there. Write at least 2 to 3 examples of the figures of speech, so that the examiner comes to know, okay, this student has not memorized like the puppet. Okay, he or she knows that what exactly I'm writing. If suppose the tautology is there, oxymoron is there, antithesis is there, repetition, metaphor, simile, something, right? Obviously you will find something. So at least write 3 examples of it, so automatically your examiner will get impressed by you. I know that it's completely optional. It's completely optional. Maybe you will be told by your teacher, why did you write it? But in the boards, you write it. Surely, if suppose though the examiner don't want to give the marks, but by seeing, array, this student has written like this, and maybe your paper will look little bit different from your other fellow mates. So obviously, there will be the chances of getting good marks. and surely in a one paragraph. Don't make the separate paragraphs, okay? And as I said, now students are committing very small mistakes. What the question is, whether it is a paragraph or or paragraph. अ पॅरेग्राफ म्हटलेला असला तर याचा अर्थ तो एकच पॅरेग्राफ मध्ये लिहायचा आहे, नॉट मोर दॅन वन. ओके.
Ma'am, in our school, the sir have told us that the poem appreciation should be written in 1.5 page. So how can we expand it?
Yeah, you are supposed to write in a 1.5 page. See, whenever we are going to write the central theme or the central idea, okay, let me tell you, please don't refer Navneet. Why? Because the same answers everybody is going to write. Everyone is going to write. How will you expect that you should get the out of out marks? Something different, obviously, but related to the topic you will have to write. So the central theme or the central idea, little bit you should be able to write in your own words. Okay, so if suppose if you'll be writing that central theme or idea in 5 to 8 lines, now obviously you are going to stretch the paragraph to 1.5 page. And as I said, in that, if suppose if you'll be writing the figures of speech, तो असा लांब त्याचा कसा छान मोठा पॅरेग्राफ दिसणार एक्झामिनरला की तो बघूनच खुश. सेकंड थिंग, अंडरलाईन. ओके, अंडरलाईन द मेन लाईन्स. तुम्हाला असं वाटते की आहा, मी ना हा खूप छान वर्ड यूज केलाय, अंडरलाईन इट सो दॅट द एक्झामिनर शुड अंडरस्टूड की अरे हा, दिस स्टुडंट हॅज अ गुड व्होकॅब. कधी ते काय होतं माहितीये, बघून सुद्धा ना, बिकॉज रिअली वेन एव्हर वी आर चेकिंग द पेपर्स, right, big papers students are writing, sometimes really don't have the time to read everything. So if suppose if you would underline now, easy, it would be very easier for us to check the paper. So don't forget to underline the main lines and the things in the appreciation as well. Got it? And while writing, even the names of the figures of speech, first letter should be capital always, right? Spelling should be correct. So we are not going to give a single chance to the examiner to deduct our marks. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. Anyone else? Any queries, or shall we move further?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, you can continue kindly.
So where were we? We were discussing about the later writing, right? So what was I telling you, that since as we are calling it as the skills, right? So this is the correct platform to show our skills to the examiner and the moderators, right? So as I was saying, that if suppose if you would go through the textbook thoroughly now, you would be able to use nice idioms, nice phrases while writing. Let me give you one basic example. If suppose if you are writing a letter to your friend or an uncle or aunt, whatever it is, okay, that by seeing something, by seeing the road accident, how you were terrified, okay, how you were nervous, and like this. So when I'm writing that after seeing that incident, now I was very nervous, I was very terrified. If you are going to write like this, are you going to get the marks? Yes, surely. But if suppose if I would write the same but in a different way, uncle, when actually I was standing there and I had seen that accident with my own eyes. At that time, the butterflies were there in my stomach. They were flying in my stomach because of the nervousness. Now, don't you think so that just by simply writing that I was nervous, okay, I was frightened. So instead of using, if suppose you feel able to use the idiom like this, obviously you are going to impress your examiner, right? Or if suppose any happy wala later is there, okay, in which you are actually telling by getting the gift or something like that, or you had won the match, okay, or by knowing any of the good news, you were very happy. So instead of writing I was very happy and I was delighted and something like this, you can write, yes, when I came to know this news, I was on a cloud nine. Do you get my point? So these are the small things, but actually it impacts a lot. And that is we are calling the skills. So if suppose someone writes, see, when the letter writing is for 5 marks, okay, for the format and this, and without any grammar mistake, if you'll write the letter, maybe you will get 3.5, which would be converted into 4. But if suppose if I want that half extra marks, okay, as I said, we have to toil a lot for that. And if suppose the same type of letter, in the same type of letter, if I would be able to use these type of idioms or the phrases in that particular paragraph, obviously examiner would come to know that yes, I have a very good vocab, I have read the textbook, yes, and for that basis you can get that 4.5. And as you know that 4.5 can get converted into 5. Okay, so these are the small things, but yes, chota packet bada dhamaka hota hai wo. So please, that's why I'm always harping on the same thing. Consider your textbook as a holy book and read it as much as you can. And the same thing goes for all the subjects, whether it is a history, geography, science, or Marathi, any other subjects. Okay. So now, let's come to the next question. That is question number 6. Okay. In question number 6, there are again two sub questions, question number A and question number B. Question number 6A is of information transfer. Okay. Now, as we know that in the information transfer, again, we are given the option by the board, right? Either we can opt for verbal to non-verbal, or we can opt for non-verbal to verbal. Now, my suggestion would be for the students, those who are pretty good in forming the sentences, okay, means just by observing the given informative table, if suppose if I'm pretty good in forming the sentences, you can opt for that. But otherwise, what would be the easier option in this question as well? That is verbal to non-verbal. Now, why I'm telling you? Because see, in the verbal, already the paragraph is given to you. Okay. So after reading paragraph, we can comprehend the information. Now, the same information we have to deliver in the different type of formats. Either most of the times, you might have seen that the tabular format has been asked, right? In the earlier papers. So the tabular format is a quite easier one. Names are also given. You have to just read the information and you have to fill up the information. So there is a no scope of losing the marks. But again, as I said earlier, don't forget to write the title for the information transfer. Don't assume that the title is already there. Now, if I'm see, sometimes now in that tabular form, the title is not will not be given to you. You will have to write the title. Got it? So students, what are they doing? If suppose the tabular form is asked, they are writing, solving as it is, and they are expecting that yes, I will get the 5 of 5. No, dear students, 1 mark would be deducted for not writing the title. So don't forget to write the title over there. Again, related to the paragraph, you can write the title. So usually I'm telling the students, opt for verbal to non-verbal, because that part is a little bit easier one. Actually, both are easier, but this is fairly easier. Got it? Because the information is given to you, you have to read it, you have to understand it, and in the specific format, you have to draw it. Now, I hope if suppose if you are solving the papers, because still we have a time, only few types of patterns are asked. First is a tabular format. Second is a tree diagram. Yes, in most of the times, the tree diagram is asked. Flow chart is also there, but in a very less number of times the flow chart is there, because flow chart usually it has been given in the form of non-verbal to verbal question. Okay, for verbal to non-verbal they are not asking. Pie diagram, yes, surely. Now, even though while drawing the pie diagram, again it is the easier one, because how to draw the pie diagram, that we have already learned in the math section, right? So I would suggest you that preferably go for verbal to non-verbal, because there are less chances to deduct the marks get deducted. Got it? And yes, if suppose if you are fairly good in framing the sentences, because in non-verbal to verbal also, it's not the very rocket science, right? By just reading the keywords, you can frame the sentences. Now, just the one thing we have to remember, that if suppose like this, the topic has been given kind of a sportsmanship, okay, what the factors are required to be a good sportsman. So already the key points are given to you. The thing is that which tense you are using while writing it, that you have to pay attention. Mostly it should be in a simple present tense. Okay. Yes, the tenses are very important. कुठल्या काळात लिहिताय, कसं लिहिताय, that is important. Again, while opting for non-verbal to verbal, all the points which has been mentioned in that, only those points should be added. You don't have the liberty to add some of the points from your side. Is that clear? आम्हाला किती पण दिलेल्या points पेक्षा जास्त माहिती असलं तरी आपण ते लिहायचं नाहीये. जेवढे points दिलेले असतील, that only we have to elaborate in the paragraph. Main thing. And again, don't forget to write the title. Now, this was the question number 6A. Question number 6B is again view, counter view, and drafting a speech. Now, this is again a one type of a question where usually students get confused that how to be dealt with this type of question. See, for this, I would suggest you that if suppose if you have read a lot, at least a textbook for that matter, okay, some of the views you can actually write it. See, though the views and counter view question has been given to you now, obviously out of the textbook reference, they are not going to ask you anything. And if suppose some of the questions will be asked to you, obviously the board has also know that these are the 16-year-old students, okay? So they don't have the huge experience of the life, right? So like that, the bigger topics will not be given to you. But yes, surely, for that matter, now usually I'm telling my students, see, this is the one book, okay, of Navneet, in which the writing skill section almost for expand the theme and for the view counter view also many topics they have given us. Okay, here I will not suggest you to memorize it because as I said earlier, in English paper right from the non-textual passage almost the rest of the whole paper is unseen for us. So तुम्ही तिथे काहीच प्रेडिक्ट करू शकत नाही की काय येणार. But yes, based on your basic knowledge, based on your basic common sense, that what is exactly happening in my surrounding, based on that, you have to write your opinions. Okay. Again, while writing those opinions, it should be in a lucid language, it should be in a polite manner, and it should be in a properly means the rude language is not accepted. Okay, any biased kind of attitude is not expected. Okay, so though we are going to present the views, but again the views should be presented in the positive way. Sometimes the negative topic has been given to you and some key points are given. Okay, at this point also student get confused that usually they are, if suppose they won't understand, they are taking the same points and they are elaborating. Always remember, view means you are going to write for the topic. Okay, and counter view means you are going to write the against of that topic. Now again the very key point. Okay, while writing the title, please make sure that what exactly I'm writing. असं होता कामा नये की खालती आम्ही अख्खा पॅरेग्राफ लिहितोय काउंटर व्ह्यूचा, राईट, आणि वरती आम्ही टायटल लिहितोय विच इज रिलेटेड और टू द व्यू पॉइंट. This should not happen. Got it? So your title also should be related with the points which you are going to write. Please do remember. मुलं ही खूप छोटी गोष्ट आहे पण मुलं चुका करतात. And if suppose this happens, then you will not get the good marks in that particular question where you can actually get the marks. I hope it is clear that while writing the counter view, most of the times counter view is only asked. For that, sometimes the viewpoints are given. So by using the viewpoints, you have to write it in an indirect way, but in a polite manner, in a lucid language. Okay, it should be straight. Yes, it should be straight because you are going to put your opinion over there. आणि जेव्हा तुम्ही तुमचं मत मांडता तेव्हा त्याच्यामध्ये खोटं किंवा खरं, हे बरोबर किंवा हे चूक असं काही नसतं. Opinion is opinion, but how the way you are expressing, that is important. And again, the very important thing that whenever we are expressing our counter view part, it should be always written in a one paragraph. ओके, खूप भलं मोठं लिहून ठेवायचं नाहीये, एका पॅरेग्राफ मध्ये लिहायचंय आणि व्यवस्थित, म्हणजे किती, then that paragraph could be of 12 to 15 lines as well, but it should be in a one paragraph. You get it? Please remember these things. I don't know whether your teachers have told you or not, But yes, when we are going to write the view counter view, don't make the separate paragraphs. It should be written in a one paragraph. Whereas the speech writing should be written in a 3 paragraphs. इथेच आमचा गोंधळ होतो. Now, when I'm telling you the 3 paragraphs, again, I meant to say that the first paragraph should be of just only 3 to 4 lines, not more than that. तिथे big essay लिहून नाही यायचं आपल्याला. Okay, it should be your introductory paragraph, in which you are going to greet the teachers, principal, and your audience. You are going to tell your name, obviously fake name, not the real name. Okay. Then you are going to tell about the topic as well, on whichever the topic you are going to speak. Okay, so that would be your introductory paragraph. In the second paragraph, again, you will write the whole information which about which you are going to speak. Means actually you are going to write. Okay, so that whole information should be written in a second paragraph, and in the third paragraph you should conclude it. Okay, in the last paragraph you would thank the audience for listening you patiently. You will thank the teachers and the principal, those who have given the chance to speak on that platform. Okay, and like this you will conclude the paragraph, and that will be your third paragraph. Is it clear? So when I'm going to write the view counter view, I'm going to write it in a 1 paragraph, and when I'm going to write the speech writing, it should be written in a 3 paragraphs and in this format. Okay. Again, while writing, as I said, that it is a skill. So when you are delivering the speech, obviously you can make the use of poetry lines. But again, the one thing, in English paper, you can use only English poetry. Don't go for the Marathi or the Hindi one. Though while actually delivering the speech in front of the audience on the stage, sometimes we are using the Hindi lines as well, Marathi lines as well. Okay, but in English paper you are not supposed to use any other language. So related to the topic, if suppose somebody would like to little bit write poetry of 2 lines, okay, write only in English. So I would suggest not to write them. If suppose if you don't know, okay, don't take the chance. But yes, instead of that, we can surely opt for good slogans, proverbs, some maxims, or some quotes. Surely we can add it. You can add the examples, okay, real examples of the people in the speech writing. Got it? So that speech you can write in a you have to write in a 3 paragraph. If suppose it goes somewhere 1.5 page, it's okay. It's okay. Got it? Again, while writing, if suppose, see, sometimes now, while giving the speech, we are asking the rhetorical questions to the audience. I hope you would understand what is meant by the rhetorical questions, where actually we don't want to elicit any answer from the audience, but we just have to make them understand that that they have to understand this topic, right? So while writing this speech, you can actually write some rhetorical questions also over there. So instead of just writing very plainly, you can add it. It will really beautify your paragraph. Okay, so based on these, you can get the good marks in the view counter view as well, and the this question, that is drafting the speech. So here our 6th question gets finished. Now the last is the 7th question, which is a creative writing. Now see, in the name itself, they are giving us the hint, right? It is a creative writing. So we have to show our creativity over there. And just to show our creativity, the very first question which has been given to us, that is the expand the theme, right? Now in this expand the theme, usually proverbs are given, good thoughts are given, or maxims are given, or quotes are given, which we need to elaborate. Now, means see, which the book I have shown you. I know that in this book also, some of the topics has been shown or has been written in a 1 paragraph. But I would suggest to my students that try to write in a 3 paragraphs, because see, expand the theme is just like a short essay, right? So here again, you have a bigger chance to show your skills. See, when I'm talking about the skills, when I'm asking you to add some attributes in the language, how you will beautify the language. एखाद्याला सुंदर दिसायचं असेल, so what that person does, wear the makeup, wear the good accessories, wear the good dress, right? Good attire. The same way, how we will beautify our language by using the good words, right? By using the good phrases and the idioms, by using the good proverbs, obviously related to the context, right? So, by using all these things, we can beautify our same paragraph. And only these things are expected from you. So, first of all, for expanded theme, you are going to write that answer in a 3 paragraphs. The very key point, whenever I'm going to write the answer for this particular question, for example, a bad workman blames his tools. Okay, so never start your line like this. A bad workman always blames his tool means never. Never ever do that mistake. Okay, so never start your line with this. You can, again, as I've told you, you can write the references, you can give the examples, you can take the references from your book itself. If suppose if you might have gone through the PYQ papers, nature, the best teacher, like these the questions were asked. Okay, now again, related to the nature, already we have learned the alchemy of nature, right? In that alchemy of nature, some lines are there, beautiful lines, right? Nature commands us, nature whispers, right? So, if suppose somebody would have read the lesson thoroughly, you can use the reference from your textbook. Yes, surely you can use it. So, n number of lessons are there. 16 lessons are there. Nice lessons. Okay, so you can take the references of those lessons. If required, you can take the references of the poems as well, like the William Shakespeare poems are there. Then the pulley is there, right? Very philosophical one. So regarding the topic, you can actually take the references from your textbook as well. If suppose if you don't know something out of the textbook, got it? So eventually this is going to add some perks in your marks. Got it? So this is just like a small essay. And for this particular section, I would suggest you that if possible, try to read as much as if possible. See, I know that now the days are very less. So if suppose if you want if you have the time of 5 or 10 minutes, I would suggest you go through such books. Just see, only for reading, it takes only hardly 5 to 8 minutes, not more than that. Because here I'm not asking you to memorize anything. I'm asking you to read. Okay, वाचाल तर वाचाल ही अशी एक मराठीत म्हण आहे. Okay, the same it applies here. The more you read, the more you will comprehend, and the more you will deliver. Okay, so that is the only key point for writing the expanded theme. Now, for the expanded theme, there is the another question, which is a news report. Okay, if you remember a while ago, I said that whatever the grammar questions which is asked for the 10 marks, it is not only for the 10 marks. Here we have to use one of the aspect of the grammar over here. What I meant to say, that the news report, the very first thing we have to write in a passive form. Okay, active passive we have learned thoroughly. So we have to write this news report in the passive voice. Okay, now while writing this news report, again, don't forget to write the title. Okay, the same thing goes for the previous question as well. I forgot it. Okay, don't forget to write the title for the even expanded theme. Though the same title has been given, same you will have to write, but have to write. Again, for the news report, if suppose someone is opting for the news report, if suppose the title is not given, you have to frame the title. If it is given, you have to use the title as it is. According to the format, the name of the reporter or by whom it is going to be reported, that you have to write on the right side beneath your title. On the left side, the date, then the place, right? That you have to write. Got it? And after that, please, again, this is a very small thing, but you have to put the colon over here. Colon याचा अर्थ काय? मारतो तो नाही. Colon याचा अर्थ 2 dots. Okay, very small thing, but very important. Usually students have the habit of putting just simple dash or is equal to. Okay, see, for whom these things are matter, when any of the student crosses the limit of 68 or 70, right? 70, 72, If suppose somebody crosses that mark, then these small things will be observed by the moderator and the chief moderator. Got it? Small things are there, but very important. Okay. So these things you have to remember while if you're going to attend the news report. And while writing the news report, again, students usually ask then how many paragraphs we should write. In a one paragraph. Okay. In one paragraph only you are going to deliver that whatever the information regarding the topic. Now what are we and how are we going to write? According to the information, according to the title, what has exactly happened, where it has happened, if suppose any calamities are there, injuries are there, then what you can say, what the reaction was there, and what the precautionary measures later it will be taken, or who had come and how it was completely done over there. That everything you have to write in a passive format, but in a one paragraph. Okay, please remember this. So this was the news report. Most of the time students do it very properly because they are quite good in a passive voice, right? Voices are really very simple, so you can actually opt for that. Now the last question, which is either develop a story or narrate an experience. Now I would suggest you over here, usually students are being told that in developing the story, obviously like this the topics are given, whether sometimes the starting line is given and you are asked to continue with that line, or the last line is given and you are asked to start by your own way, but your end should be the given line. Got it? Again, before opting this, you have to understand that am I really going to choose to develop a story, or am I going to narrate an experience? Now, when I'm developing a story, so when I'm talking about the story, I'm going to write about the story, many different characters can come. If suppose am I going to write the different story, one thing separately differently you can do, in the movies now, how the names and the character has been performed by the number of actors, right? How they are playing the list. So if suppose in your story, if suppose two or three characters are there, so you can introduce the characters over there by their names. This is a different method. कोणीही अशी स्टोरी लिहित नाही सहसा. Okay, usually they start writing the story, so somewhere you can mention it. Okay, the characters which you are going to use in the story. Okay, it will really uh, create a different impression on the examiner while checking the papers, right? So you can write that. Or if suppose if you think no, while writing only I will create the characters and maybe I could baffle over there, don't write it, it's okay. Okay, so like this you can write the story. Again, while writing the story, please remember that what the tense I'm using, because when I'm telling the story, I can use the several number of tenses at the same time, but it doesn't go for the same while narrating an experience. Because when I'm narrating an experience, always remember only I or we, these only pronouns should be used. प्लीज डू रिमेंबर, कारण एक्सपिरियन्स हा फक्त तुमच्या स्वतःचा असतो. सो मोस्टली यू आर गोइंग टू यूज द आय or a we over there while narrating an experience. And the second thing, it should be written in a past tense. कारण तो experience already you have already experienced, that you are not experiencing now. So that experience was already being experienced, and that's why you are going to write in the past tense. So make sure that in the past tense, and again 4 types of past tenses: receiver's address, for the subject. Okay, for all these basic format there are marks, whereas in informal only sender's address is there, the last conclusion part is there. So as I've told you now, that after reading the type of question in which you are more comfortable, it's not like that in informal letter student get more marks or informal letter student gets more marks. It's not like that. Okay, which type of letter you can write it more confidently. Some students are comfortable in informal. If suppose after reading the question, if you are more comfortable in an informal letter, go for it. No worries. Okay, so don't keep the mindset like this, that if suppose I would go for formal, then it would be very easier. Like both actually easier. Both the letters are easier one. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
And in paper, starting with the writing skills section is good to start.
Actually, you can, but shall I tell you one thing? If suppose if we would go orderly now, in a order, it would be easier for us as well and for the examiner. Why? Let me tell you. See, if suppose at the start only, now it may happen that some students are pretty good in their writing skills, okay, and after seeing they don't even require the time to think over it, just after seeing the question they start writing. So if suppose if you are pretty sure and if you are pretty confident on yourself that yes, I can deliver all the writing skill part first, because that writing skill part takes only a little bit more time to deliver. Okay, so it should not happen that in these first questions you will be taking time, and whatever the part is there in your hand, you will not get the sufficient time for that. It should not happen. And let me tell you one thing, which I did not get the time to tell you, that please uh, attempt all the questions. Don't leave any question in the paper, but at the same time, don't go for the extra one. Okay, because this is not the science or this is not the maths paper. Okay, almost though 3 hours are there, but till the last moment, students are writing. So don't go for the extra one, but whatever has been given to you, write it properly and in order. But as I said, that if you are pretty sure about yourself that yes, I can write the writing skill part, you can write. But again, it should not happen that you will get the less time for delivering the questions which will be asked earlier. I hope you got clear.
Okay, ma'am.
Yes, anyone else? Does anyone have any queries? You can ask me.
Ma'am, in informal letter, we have to write email or not?
Yeah, you have to write. You have to write.
Okay.
ओके एव्हरीवन क्लिअर? तुमचे डाऊट सगळे क्लिअर झालेत का? थांबायचं ना मग? मॅम तुमचे झालेत ना, म्हणजे तुमचं काही सांगायचं
Yes.
राहील?
From my side, whatever I just wanted to tell them, I told them. The just only last thing I told them that please try to solve the paper in a orderly manner. पहिला क्वेश्चन पहिले सॉल्व करा, दुसरा क्वेश्चन दूसरा सॉल्व करा. शक्यतो ऑर्डर चेंज करू नका. While writing, since in English now many sub questions are there. Question number 2A in A1, in A1 also 1, 2, 3, 4 or A, B, C, D is like that. So while solving these questions, please pay attention that am I writing the correct question number or not? Second thing, don't leave any question unattempted. प्रत्येक प्रश्न हा अटेम्प्ट करा. Yes, but the third thing, don't go for the extra one. Okay, आहे तोच आधी पेपर व्यवस्थित सॉल्व करा. That's it. And whichever the another things were there that I have already told you regarding the skills.
येस येस, खूप खूप छान झालं. म्हणजे एक्सपेक्टेड होतं त्याच्यापेक्षाही खूप छान डिटेल तुम्ही सांगितलंच आहे. आय थिंक आता त्याच्यामुळे काही कोणाच्या अडचणी नसणार आहेत, हो ना रे?